Let me be clear, there are some people you should never help in your old age. Not because you're bitter, not because you're broken, but because you've learned. You've been there, you've bled enough in battles that weren't even yours to fight. And now that you've reached a place of peace, of wisdom, of hard-earned rest, you owe it to yourself to protect it. Don't mistake maturity for weakness. Don't confuse kindness with obligation. And don't let guilt rewrite your history, because some of the very people who ignored your cries when you were drowning will show up with empty buckets when you finally built a well, and they'll expect a drink. Some of them clapped the loudest when you failed. Some stood silent when you needed a word. Some took what they wanted, left what they didn't, and never even looked back. Now they want your help? No, never help the ones who mocked your dreams when they were still in seed form, because now they see the harvest growing. They didn't water it, they didn't weed it, they didn't believe in it. So no, they don't get to eat from it. Never help the ones who only show up when they need something. If your number only matters when they're desperate, block it from your peace. Never help the ones who tried to break you, because they'll only try to use your healing as a weapon next. Never help the ones who gaslighted you into silence, manipulated your loyalty, twisted your generosity into guilt. Your older years are not a second chance for them. They're a reward for you. You don't owe your softness to the ones who harden you. Let go of the guilt, protect your energy, move on in grace, but never go back to save the ones who tried to sink your ship. Let me ask you something. How long will you keep running the same race with people who only pull you back? How much longer are you going to give your time, your energy, your heart to people who take from you but never replenish? People who promise to stand with you, but when you look up, they're nowhere to be found. You're holding your life in your hands, and they're standing there demanding more with no intention of ever giving anything back. Loyalty, true loyalty, was never meant to be a one-way street. It's not supposed to drain you. It's meant to build you. But there are people who will see your loyalty as an opportunity to suck the life out of you. You think you're doing the right thing by sticking with them, by showing up, by continuing to pour into their lives even when they never pour into yours. But here's the reality. The longer you stay in that toxic place, the more your peace will erode. What happens when you keep pouring into a cup that has a hole in the bottom? You're running on empty, but you keep going thinking that if you just give a little more, this time they'll change. You keep convincing yourself that your loyalty is somehow going to fix them. But here's the truth. They weren't loyal to you when it mattered. They didn't show up when you needed them. They were the first ones to leave when things got hard. They don't deserve your energy. They don't deserve the very peace that you've worked so hard to build. Loyalty to the wrong people is an investment in failure. It's like trying to fill a bucket that's already full of holes. You pour and you pour and you pour, but there's nothing left, and eventually your peace begins to slip through the cracks. You tell yourself, I can't just leave. I've invested so much. I've been here too long. But let me tell you something. The longer you stay, the deeper your regret. Loyalty should never come at the cost of your well-being. You cannot continue to put your loyalty in places that don't respect it, that don't honor it. It's like building a house on a foundation of sand. The moment the storm comes, it all falls apart. And when it does, your peace is the first casualty. So why do we do it? Why do we keep investing in people who never return the favor? Because we're conditioned to believe that loyalty is unconditional. We think that we should never walk away from those we've invested in. But let me ask you this. When did loyalty to your own peace become optional? When did it become acceptable for you to lose yourself in order to stay loyal to others? Here's the revelation you need to hear today. Loyalty to the wrong people will bankrupt your peace. It's that simple. You can't keep holding on to relationships that drain you. relationships that break you down, relationships that leave you broken and empty. When you invest in the wrong places, you end up with nothing. Not only that, but you also lose the strength you need to build the right relationship. You lose the ability to discern who should be in your life and who should be left behind. The moment you stop placing your loyalty in broken places is the moment you start reclaiming your peace. You deserve people who will invest in you just as much as you invest in them. You deserve friends who will stand by you, not because it's convenient, but because they genuinely care. You deserve relationships that make you better, not bitter. Stop pouring into cups that were never meant to hold your heart. Stop allowing others to drain your energy and leave you with nothing but exhaustion and regret. Your peace is too precious to trade for loyalty to the wrong people. Remember, you can love people from a distance. You can wish them well, but do not sacrifice your peace for the sake of maintaining a loyalty that was never returned. Your peace is worth fighting for, and you should never allow someone else's neglect to steal it away from you. Keep that in mind. Your loyalty must always have boundaries. Protect what's valuable. Your peace is one of the most valuable things you possess. Don't let it be taken for granted. We all know what it feels like to put time, energy, and heart into relationships, whether they're friendships, family ties, or even romantic connections. At first, it seems like you're sowing seeds in fertile soil. You think you're building something strong, something that will stand the test of time, but then slowly, almost imperceptibly, you start to realize that what you thought was a garden is actually a field of weeds. You've been watering and tending to relationships that are not only not growing, but are choking out the very life in you. You've been nurturing something that doesn't have the capacity to nourish you. And now you're looking at your soul, and instead of seeing a beautiful garden full of blooming possibilities, all you see are tangled, twisted weeds that suffocate everything good in you. Weeds don't add beauty. They don't add strength. They don't offer support or shade or even produce fruit. They steal from the soil, taking nutrients that should have been reserved for what matters, and that's exactly what these relationships are doing to your soul. They're draining your energy. They're making you second guess yourself. They're constantly pulling on your peace, taking from you without ever giving back. You know the kind of people I'm talking about. These are the ones who always show up when it's convenient for them, but disappear when you need them. They take your time and your attention without offering any reciprocity. They make you feel like you have to prove your worth over and over again, but no matter how much you give, it's never enough. They don't help you grow, they stunt your growth. The thing about weeds is that they don't just stay in one place, they spread. They take root in your thoughts, in your emotions, and they infect your mind. You begin to question your value because they've planted seeds of doubt. You start to wonder if you're too much, too sensitive, too emotional, too demanding. And before you know it, the weeds of self-doubt and self-worthlessness begin to flourish, all because you watered a relationship that wasn't meant to grow. It's easy to mistake someone's presence for support. It's easy to give the benefit of the doubt, to keep pouring into people because you think that with enough time, they'll change, that they'll finally see your worth and reciprocate your efforts. But hear me when I say this, not every relationship is meant to bloom. Not every connection is meant to endure. Not every person who enters your life deserves your nurturing care. The truth is, you can't keep watering relationships that only grow weeds in your soul. You can't keep pouring your love, your time, and your energy into things and people that deplete you. You have to recognize when it's time to stop. You have to have the courage to walk away from relationships that suffocate the light inside you. Some of you have been holding on to these relationships for far too long. You've seen the signs, but you've ignored them. You've let these toxic relationships grow out of control. You've seen the way they pull from you, take from you, and never give back. But because of your own fear, your own insecurity, or your own guilt, you've kept watering them. But hear this today, it's time to stop. You've got to uproot those weeds before they take over your garden. You've got to clear the space, pull out the negativity, and create room for what really matters. When you clear out the weeds, you make space for real relationships to grow. You allow the good, the healthy, the nourishing connections to take root. You make room for the relationships that are worth cultivating, the ones that bring you peace, joy, growth, and strength. You see, relationships that help you grow are the ones that help you thrive. They challenge you to be better. They encourage you when you're down. They celebrate your victories, and they comfort you in your losses. These are the relationships that should be watered, that should be nurtured, that should be cherished. The ones that give as much as they take, the ones that bring light into your life and help you shine brighter. Those are the gardens you want to invest in. But it's not always easy to let go of the weeds. Sometimes they've been there for so long that they feel like a part of you. You've grown accustomed to their presence, even if they're not helping you grow. But here's the truth. You can't grow in unhealthy soil. You can't keep nourishing relationships that drain you. You were made for more than that. Your soul was meant to flourish, to bloom, to produce fruit that lasts. Make a decision. Stop watering relationships that only grow weeds in your soul. Stop investing in what's holding you back. Uproot the toxic, draining, suffocating relationships and make room for the good. It may be uncomfortable at first. It may feel like loss, but I promise you, it's a necessary step to creating a life that flourishes. Choose the relationships that help you grow, not the ones that steal your growth. Choose to protect your heart, your soul, and your peace. Choose to invest in the gardens that will bloom and give you life. Because when you stop watering the weeds, you create the space for something beautiful to grow. And you are worthy of that beauty. Let's talk about the climb, the journey to greatness, to success, to peace of mind. It's not an easy one. It's filled with obstacles, setbacks, sacrifices, and moments when you felt like giving up. It's a path that requires everything you've got, your energy, your time, your faith, and your resilience. Along the way, you make decisions, you take risks, and you stretch yourself beyond what you thought was possible. But here's the truth. The climb is not meant to be done alone. You need people around you who will encourage you, lift you up when you fall, and remind you that it's all worth it. You need people who are going to see your potential before you even realize it yourself. You need people who will help you stay grounded when things get tough and who will cheer you on when things are going right. But what happens when those people aren't there? What happens when the ones you thought would support you, the ones you thought would be in your corner, are nowhere to be found? What happens when those people are only around when the climb is easy, but they disappear when the road gets steep? I'll tell you what happens. You realize they didn't deserve to be part of your journey in the first place. You see, if someone didn't support you while you were climbing, when you were working hard and fighting through the obstacles, they don't get to come to the top and enjoy the view with you. If they weren't there when the work was hard, when you were sweating, when you were sacrificing and pushing past your limits, they don't get to share in the glory of what you've earned. There are people in your life who only want to be around when things are easy, when the path is smooth, and when everything is going according to plan. But the real test of loyalty, the real test of friendship is when you're going through the fire, when the climb is steep, when you're exhausted, and when you want to quit. That's when you find out who is really with you. Some people will cheer you on from the sidelines when things are going great. They'll clap when you succeed. They'll tell you how proud they are of you when you've already reached the top. But when you were in the trenches, when you were struggling, when you were questioning whether it was all worth it, that's when they were silent. They were too busy watching from a distance, too busy waiting for you to fall, or too focused on their own lives to even notice your struggle. So why do we let those people back into our lives once we've reached the top? Why do we open the door for them to share in our success, our hard-earned victories, when they weren't there when we needed them most? They didn't see the sweat on your brow. They didn't hear the doubts in your head. They didn't feel the weight of the burden you carried. They didn't support you in the climb. And now that you've reached the summit, why would you share the view with them? You have earned that view. You have fought for that perspective. You have endured the storms, the setbacks, the heartbreaks. You've made it through the darkest days. And now that you're standing on top of what you've worked so hard for, you owe it to yourself to protect the space you've created. Not everyone deserves to walk up to that mountaintop with you. The truth is, some people only want to be around when it's easy, when they don't have to lift a finger, when they don't have to sacrifice or struggle. But true supporters are the ones who will walk with you through the hard times, who will encourage you when no one else does, who will help you carry the load when it's too heavy. They will stand by you when the world is falling apart, and they will celebrate with you when you finally reach the top. The climb isn't just about reaching the summit. It's about who you are with on the journey. If they didn't show up for you when you were climbing, they don't deserve to be with you when you're standing tall at the top. You don't need to feel guilty for not allowing people to share your success when they weren't there to help you through the struggle. You don't owe anyone the privilege of your view if they weren't willing to stand beside you during the hard work. So as you continue to climb, keep your eyes open. Pay attention to who's in your corner. Pay attention to who's cheering you on, not just when it's easy, but when you're giving everything you have. Those are the people who deserve to walk with you to the top. Those are the ones who've earned the right to see the view with you, because they weren't just there for the triumph, they were there for the struggle, the pain, and the sacrifice. They supported your climb, and now they get to share the view. And remember this. Don't waste your time looking around for people who were never there. Protect your peace, protect your success, and protect your energy. Don't let anyone who didn't help you climb take a spot in the view you've earned. They don't deserve it. You've earned every step of that journey. You've earned the right to enjoy the view without anyone who wasn't willing to help you get there. Time is the great revealer. It's the test that no one can cheat, the witness to every decision, every action, and every word spoken. We often hear that time heals all wounds, but the truth is, time doesn't just heal, it reveals. It reveals who people truly are beneath the surface, what their intentions were all along, and whether they can be trusted with your heart, your future, and your dreams. How many times have you been hurt, disappointed, or betrayed by someone you thought was your ally? You gave them the benefit of the doubt. You believed their promises, their sweet words, their empty gestures. You convinced yourself that this time would be different, that this person would come through for you, that this relationship would be the one to finally prove all your doubts wrong. But over time, their true character began to surface. Maybe it was the way they treated you in private, how they spoke about you behind your back, or how they left when things got tough. Maybe it was the promises they broke, the lies they told, or the trust they shattered. And now, after everything you've been through, you look back and realize you should have believed it the first time. Time doesn't lie. It exposes the cracks in the foundation of every relationship, every friendship, and every partnership. It shows you the people who are only there for the good times and those who are willing to stand by you when the storms hit. Time reveals who is willing to put in the effort when it's hard and who will bail when it gets difficult. Time shows you who is loyal, who is genuine, and who is just there for their own agenda. But here's where we often go wrong. We ignore the signs. We look the other way when red flags appear. We justify bad behavior because we want to believe the best in people, because we hope they'll change, because we want to give second chances. We convince ourselves that maybe, just maybe, things will get better. But time doesn't wait for us to come to terms with reality. Time keeps moving, and as it moves, it keeps revealing the truth. The painful reality is that we often know what we need to know the first time we see the signs. We know when someone's behavior doesn't align with their words. We know when their actions speak louder than their promises. We know when we're being taken for granted, when we're being manipulated, when we're being used. But instead of accepting the truth, we hold on to hope. We give them another chance. We let time pass, thinking it will change things. But time doesn't change the essence of a person. It doesn't change their core values, their true intentions, or their character. Time simply exposes it. The person they were yesterday is the same person they will be tomorrow. If they betrayed you once, they will betray you again. If they weren't there for you when you needed them, they won't be there the next time either. If they were dishonest with you once, they'll find new ways to lie to you again. Time doesn't alter who people are. It just gives you the chance to see it clearly. It's painful to realize that we've been holding on to relationships, situations, or people who were never right for us. It's hard to admit that we invested our time, our heart, and our energy into something that was never meant to last. But time has a way of stripping away the illusions we've built and showing us the truth we didn't want to see. The most powerful thing you can do for yourself is to believe it the first time. Believe the first time someone shows you their true colors. Believe the first time they let you down, hurt you, or betray your trust. Believe the first time they show you who they really are, because the first time is all you need to know. Don't waste another moment waiting for them to change, to apologize, or to suddenly become the person you thought they were. Time has already told you who they are. Believe it. This isn't about holding grudges or being bitter. It's about protecting your heart. It's about recognizing that not everyone deserves your trust, your time, or your loyalty. It's about being wise enough to know that your peace is more valuable than any relationship that constantly drains you, hurts you, or holds you back. The truth is, you can't change people. You can't force them to evolve or grow, but you can choose to believe the truth about them the first time it's revealed. Time has a way of showing us what we need to see even when we don't want to see it. It teaches us to trust our instincts, to trust the signs, and to trust the truth that is right in front of us. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Don't wait for the next chapter to expose the same flaws, the same mistakes, the same heartbreak. Time doesn't reveal the truth for you to ignore it. It reveals it so you can act on it. The sooner you believe it, the sooner you free yourself from the weight of false hope, the disappointment of unmet expectations, and the pain of repeated mistakes. You owe it to yourself to believe it the first time. Because time will reveal the truth, and the truth is always your best guide. So don't wait for the next hurt to confirm what you already know. Believe it now. Trust what time has shown you and move forward with clarity, wisdom, and strength. We all know the story. Someone hurts you, betrays your trust, breaks your heart, or takes advantage of your kindness. And yet, despite the pain, despite the heartbreak, there you are, still trying to help them. You convince yourself that you're doing the right thing, that it's noble, that you're being the bigger person. You tell yourself, I'm helping them because it's the right thing to do, or I'm giving them a second chance because that's what love would do. But let me tell you this in no uncertain terms, helping people who hurt you is not noble. It's self-destruction in disguise. It may look like an act of kindness on the surface, but beneath it, it's slowly eroding your peace, your self-respect, and your well-being. Think about it for a moment. When someone hurts you, whether through betrayal, dishonesty, neglect, or any other form of pain, they have already shown you who they are. They've shown you that they are willing to use you, manipulate you, or even take advantage of your good nature. Their actions have already spoken louder than their words. Yet when you continue to help them despite the harm they've caused, you are sending a message to yourself and to them that their behavior is acceptable. You are essentially saying, it's okay to hurt me, I'll still be here to fix it. And here's the harsh truth. That's not kindness. That's self-sabotage. You are sacrificing your own emotional and mental health for someone who has already proven that they do not value you. You are putting their needs above your own, their comfort above your peace, and their pain above your healing. You are walking down a path that ultimately leads to burnout, resentment, and self-doubt. Helping people who have hurt you doesn't heal the relationship. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of self-sacrifice where you continue to give and give but never receive. It's like trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour into it, it will never be enough. The more you try to help someone who doesn't deserve it, the more you will find yourself depleted, empty, and drained. They'll take and take and take, and you'll find yourself with less and less to give until there's nothing left of you. And let's be real here. If someone truly cared about you, they would never hurt you in the first place. If someone truly respected you, they would never betray your trust. Actions speak louder than words. And a person who repeatedly hurts you while you continue to give to them isn't someone you need to be helping. They need to be learning consequences, learning boundaries, and learning to respect your worth. When you keep helping people who hurt you, you're reinforcing a toxic cycle. You're teaching them that they can do whatever they want, that they can hurt you and you'll just come back for more. But what are you teaching yourself in the process? You're teaching yourself that you don't deserve respect. You're teaching yourself that your feelings don't matter. You're teaching yourself that your worth is tied to how much you are willing to sacrifice, even at the expense of your own happiness. Let's call it what it is. Helping people who hurt you is not a form of love. It's a form of self-harm. It's setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. It's burning through your energy, your joy, and your inner peace in a misguided attempt to fix something that was never yours to fix in the first place. The person who hurt you needs to address their own issues, their own healing, and their own growth. You can't do that for them. All you're doing is prolonging your own pain. Now, this doesn't mean you should stop being compassionate. Compassion is powerful. But there's a difference between compassion and self-destruction. Compassion means you care, but you also care enough about yourself to know when to walk away, when to set boundaries, and when to let go. True compassion doesn't mean enabling destructive behavior. It means loving yourself enough to say, I can't help you in this moment because you're hurting me. Helping people who hurt you isn't noble because it doesn't bring healing to the relationship. Instead, it perpetuates the wounds, making it harder for both of you to move forward. You can't build a healthy relationship on a foundation of repeated hurt and sacrifice. You can't fix something that wasn't broken by you. You can't carry someone else's weight without suffocating yourself in the process. Here's the real act of courage and love: walking away when you need to. It's setting boundaries even when it feels difficult or uncomfortable. It's recognizing that your peace and your well-being are more important than trying to fix someone else's brokenness. It's loving yourself enough to say, I've given all I can and it's time to move forward. Let me say it again. Helping people who hurt you isn't noble, it's self-destruction. You don't have to sacrifice your peace, your mental health, or your joy to prove that you're a good person. Being a good person means having the courage to stop pouring into a relationship that only takes from you the strength to walk away from toxic situations and the wisdom to protect your own heart. It's time to stop enabling the destruction of your own soul for the sake of someone else's. The nobility is in choosing to protect yourself, in choosing to set boundaries, and in choosing to let go of relationships that do more harm than good. Because true love starts with loving yourself first. In life, we all encounter people who are struggling. Whether it's an emotional crisis, financial trouble, personal failure, or a series of bad decisions, there are always those around us who are in need of help. As compassionate people, we want to jump in, offer assistance, and make things better for them. But here's where wisdom comes into play. Wisdom isn't just about knowing when to help. It's also knowing when to step back and let someone face the consequences of their own choices. Rescuing others might seem like an act of love, kindness, or responsibility. We see someone in pain, someone we care about, and our instinct is to try to fix it for them, to shield them from suffering. But not all suffering is bad, and not all people are ready to be helped. Sometimes when you step in to rescue someone, you might actually be robbing them of a lesson they need to learn, a consequence they need to face, or a growth opportunity that could transform them. Rescuing people who aren't ready to be helped can be detrimental to both you and them. For one, you can become emotionally drained, always pouring into others without ever receiving anything in return. You give your time, your energy, your resources, and your heart, only to find that the person you're trying to help never seems to change or improve. They don't value your help because they haven't yet hit the rock bottom that will prompt them to make a real change. They rely on you, expect you to fix their problems, and they don't take ownership of their own journey. Meanwhile, you continue to invest, to sacrifice, and to exhaust yourself in the hope that somehow you can be their savior. But rescuing people who aren't ready to change is like trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it will never be enough. There are those who are constantly in crisis, who perpetually make poor choices, and who never seem to learn from their mistakes. They don't want rescue. They want to stay in the comfort of their chaos. And if you continue to step in and pull them out of the mess they've created, you are enabling their dysfunction. You're feeding their victim mentality, reinforcing the belief that they don't have to take responsibility for their own actions because someone else will always swoop in to fix it. And that's not love. That's enabling. You have to be wise enough to recognize that not everyone is ready for help. Not everyone is open to change. Some people may ask for your help, but deep down, they're not willing to do the work necessary to get better. They want the comfort of your rescue, but they don't want to make the tough decisions required for real change. If you keep rescuing them, you become an obstacle to their growth, a crutch that they lean on instead of learning how to stand on their own 2 feet. Wisdom is knowing who not to rescue. Because sometimes the best way to help someone is by letting them experience the natural consequences of their choices. When we intervene too early, we deprive them of the opportunity to grow, learn, and find their own strength. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back and allow someone to face their own challenges. It's not about abandoning them, but rather giving them the space they need to become the person they're meant to be. When you allow someone to struggle, when you let them find their own way, you empower them to develop resilience, wisdom, and strength that they can't gain if you keep swooping in to rescue them. But how do you know when to step back and when to step in? The key is discernment. Discernment comes from knowing the difference between when someone is asking for help because they genuinely want to change, and when they're asking because they want to stay stuck in their situation without doing the necessary work. You have to ask yourself, is this person truly ready to make a change, or are they asking for help as a temporary fix? Something to soothe the immediate pain without addressing the root cause. There's also a deeper level of wisdom at play here, knowing when to rescue yourself. Sometimes by constantly rescuing others, we lose ourselves. We neglect our own well-being, our own boundaries, and our own needs in favor of someone else's crisis. We can become so focused on saving others that we forget to save ourselves. But helping others should never come at the expense of your own mental, emotional, or physical health. Wisdom tells you to protect your peace, to know your limits, and to prioritize your own growth, especially when rescuing others threatens to overwhelm you. Rescuing people isn't always bad. It can be a beautiful act of love when done with wisdom. But wisdom means knowing that not everyone deserves to be rescued. Sometimes the best way you can love someone is by letting them face the consequences of their actions. When they hit rock bottom, they might finally realize that they need to change. When they stand alone, they might find the strength within themselves that they never knew existed. If you constantly rescue someone who isn't ready to change, you're doing more harm than good. You're depriving them of the opportunity to grow, to learn, and to take responsibility for their own life. And in the process, you're sacrificing your own peace, your own growth, and your own well-being. Wisdom is knowing who not to rescue. It's understanding that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to step aside and let them learn the lessons they need to learn. It's about understanding that your role isn't to save everyone. It's to help those who are truly ready to help themselves. Let your wisdom guide you in knowing when to step in and when to let go. The best way to help others isn't always to rescue them. It's to empower them to rescue themselves. In a world that never stops moving, a world full of distractions, pressures, and demands, preserving your peace isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. The noise of everyday life can be overwhelming. The weight of other people's expectations, the relentless pace of work, the emotional baggage we carry from past relationships or experiences, and the constant influx of information can drain us to the point where we no longer recognize ourselves. And in the midst of all this, it becomes easy to forget that peace isn't just something nice to have. It's something we need to survive. Too often we are taught to put others' needs before our own, to sacrifice our time, our energy, and sometimes our well-being to accommodate those around us. We believe that by constantly serving others or being there for everyone, we're being selfless. But here's the truth. If you don't preserve your peace, you can't effectively serve anyone. You can't pour from an empty cup. And if you allow yourself to be drained by every situation, person, or responsibility that demands your attention, you'll end up with nothing left to give. Preserving your peace is an act of survival because without it, you risk losing yourself in the chaos. It's easy to become overwhelmed, to feel as though you're being swept away by the tide of life's demands. You might find yourself caught in a whirlwind of other people's problems, taking on the weight of responsibilities that aren't yours, and giving away pieces of yourself until you no longer recognize who you are. When you lose your peace, you lose your sense of direction, your purpose, and your ability to truly live. Peace is not a luxury, it's the foundation of your mental, emotional, and physical health. It's the thing that keeps you grounded when everything around you is falling apart. It's what allows you to think clearly, make better decisions, and act from a place of strength rather than fear or desperation. Without peace, you are constantly reacting to the world around you, trying to put out fires, fix problems, and please people, often at the cost of your own well-being. But the more you sacrifice your peace, the more you move away from who you are meant to be. Taking time to preserve your peace is not selfish, it's essential for your survival. It's about setting boundaries, saying no when you need to, and choosing your battles wisely. It's about taking a step back from the things that drain you, whether it's toxic relationships, unhealthy work environments, or situations that don't align with your values. You are not required to solve everyone's problems or bear the weight of the world on your shoulder. You are not a martyr, and your worth is not defined by how much you give until you break. Preserving your peace means recognizing when something or someone is depleting you, when the cost of involvement is too high for your mental and emotional health. It means knowing when to walk away from situations that rob you of your joy and your clarity. It means recognizing that your peace is the one thing you have complete control over, and you must protect it with everything you have. This doesn't mean that you become indifferent to the struggles of others or that you stop caring. It doesn't mean you shut yourself off from the world. It simply means that you must prioritize your own health and well-being first. You can't be an effective support system for anyone if you are burned out, anxious, and overwhelmed. You can't be the best friend, partner, or leader if you're constantly running on empty. Sometimes preserving your peace means creating space between you and the things that trigger your anxiety, your stress, and your emotional exhaustion. It's about recognizing that peace is not just the absence of chaos, but the presence of clarity, balance, and purpose. It's about saying no to things that no longer serve you, no to people who take without giving, and no to situations that chip away at your sense of peace. In fact, the more you protect your peace, the more you empower yourself to respond to life with grace and intention. You start to make decisions based on what aligns with your true values, not out of obligation or fear. You start to realize that you don't have to say yes to everything in order to be loved, valued, or accepted. Your peace is not negotiable, and it should never be compromised for the sake of someone else's comfort or convenience. And here's another thing. When you preserve your peace, you model to others how they should treat you. People will begin to understand that you are not someone who can be taken for granted. Your time, your energy, and your emotional bandwidth are valuable, and by setting healthy boundaries, you teach others how to respect those limits. You show people that it's okay to say no, it's okay to put yourself first, and it's okay to protect your mental health. When you prioritize your peace, you are setting an example for others to do the same. There will always be people and situations that try to steal your peace. There will always be things that demand your time and attention, people who need your help, and responsibilities that must be addressed. But you are not obligated to carry the weight of the world. Nor should you feel guilty for choosing peace over chaos. The people who truly care about you will understand your need for space, your need to protect your energy, and your need to prioritize your mental health. Preserving your peace is not selfish, it's survival. It's the foundation upon which everything else in your life is built. When you protect your peace, you preserve your ability to show up fully in your relationships, your work, and your life. You preserve your joy, your purpose, and your sense of self. Without it, you risk losing everything that makes you, you. So take the time to nourish your peace, protect your heart, and guard your energy, because without peace, you cannot truly live. And in a world that constantly seeks to disrupt it, your peace is the most powerful thing you have. As we navigate through the noise and chaos of life, let us remember this. Preserving your peace is not a luxury, it's a life force. It's not selfish, it's survival. You have one life, one heart, and one mind to protect. The world will constantly try to pull you in every direction, but you must stand firm in the knowledge that your peace is sacred. When you protect your peace, you protect your clarity, your joy, your purpose. You preserve the strength needed to face challenges, the wisdom to make decisions, and the love to give to others without depleting yourself. You are not weak for choosing peace. You are strong. You are not running away from life by guarding your peace. You are embracing life in its truest form, authentic, centered, and whole. Remember, peace isn't something you find. It's something you create and protect. So honor it, nurture it, and above all, never let anyone take it from you, because when your peace is intact, you are unstoppable. You are your best, most powerful self, and in that you will thrive.